wouldn't have any other way either, so.
Appreciate your work.
The second delegation is Chief Dodd to discuss the school zone speed control. Chief Dodd?
Well, I appreciate a few minutes just to talk to you about this. I emailed this out about 3 weeks ago. I hope you had time to look at it. If you didn't, that's okay. I've educated myself so I could somewhat speak intelligently about it, which would be odd for me, right? But anyway,
That was nice.
it's House Bill 978, and it was passed in the General Assembly to where you can now place radar cameras in your school zones. It'll also have an LPR system, which is a tag reader, and you're able to run radar during school hours by those cameras, and they will record speeds of vehicle and issue citations for anything over 10 miles an hour during the school zone, during the school days. And so the gist of it is number one, school has to be in session. It doesn't count for teacher work days or school. In other words, school has to be in session. It'll be our job. The citations will be sent to us from the company called Red Speed. I chose Red Speed because they're one of two of these companies that are in the nation. This is the top company. They've never been sued. The other one has been tied up in court for quite some time over some legalities with what they do. But this company is very reputable. I've talked with other departments that use them, and they pretty much take care of everything. It's no cost to us. They put up the cameras, they put up the signs to warn people about the signs ahead. They look at the cameras and send us the notifications as every citation. What we have to do is look and make sure, number one, that the vehicle matches the description on the tag, and number two, that school was actually in session when that was written. They have to be a minimum of 10 miles an hour over the speed limit or more to be issued a citation. It is completely a civil fine. There's no points on your driver's license. It does not affect your insurance, and the legislature put in the code section, you do have the right to take it to either probate court or superior court and fight it if you choose to do so. So unlike in the past, where it was just civil and you were guilty, now if you feel like you're not guilty, you have the right to go to court and either have a jury trial or a judge trial. So again, it's at zero cost to the county. The LPR system will also be tied into every laptop in the county. So if a sex offender drives through the school zone, it'll send a notification out to all law enforcement that he or she is in the area. It'll help us with crime by identifying tags that are coming through hours of the day or night so that we can see who was actually there. It'll notify us of any violations such as expired tag, no insurance, suspended license. It's all on the tag. So it'll send out a notification immediately if we're looking for someone or someone's wanted somewhere in the United States. It's in that system. It'll notify us if they just drove through one of our school zones and give us a vehicle description. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to enhance our school zone safety and make our kids safer. Statistics show that even a 5 mile an hour reduction in speed limit saves lives. And so I think it would be a great benefit to the county. We're looking at putting it in Youngs Grove Elementary School on Antioch and Goodyear Elementary, Vanward Elementary now in Rockmart. Those are both in the county. Those are the only two school zones that are in the county. The cities would have to, they can join this too if they'd like, but they'd have to apply for their own license. They do have to be certified. They do have to be calibrated. The company takes care of all of that. So with that being said, again, the maximum fine for the first offense is $75. And for any subsequent offense, the max is $125. So the state sets that limit. The money must be used for law enforcement or law enforcement purposes. So whatever you choose to deem the revenue collected from that for, it would have to be law enforcement related, is what the legislature said. And I'll be glad to take any questions now if you have them.
Sure.
You know I'm coming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Carter.
So thank you, sir. So Kenny and I have had a lot of discussion about this, and I will qualify myself up front by saying, I'm a huge fan of law enforcement. You won't find a stronger backer than me. That being said, I'm a huge fan of our Constitution and certain laws that are put in place to protect folks as well. And one of my hangups, well, there were several hangups with the systems because I'm familiar with them, not from being a violator, but I'm familiar with them. So the first issue, and Chief addressed it, is that this is a civil penalty. It is not a criminal driving record. You are being essentially brought before a court, not locally, for a civil violation. And we have to adopt a resolution that creates that law, to make it a civil violation to speed in the school zone. So, that's my first issue, is we're dealing with violations here in the civil court, and that is being adjudicated by somebody not here, not elected here, not representing here, but someone administrating the system. So in this case, the fox is guarding the hen house. You are presumed to be guilty without question. Your right to appeal, you have abilities to appeal based on, I wasn't driving my car, and then you gotta tell them who's driving. That violates a lot of things in books that I'm familiar with from my law enforcement career, but that's the method. Now, you appeal it, and as Chief says, that there are regulations now where you can come back to your local court, because that was my other beef with it, that you couldn't appeal it to a local court. It would always be tried outside the jurisdiction of where it occurred at, because it's, again, a civil violation. Those are my hang-ups with it. I certainly understand the benefit of it and the safety aspects, and from a law enforcement standpoint, the tag readers and their recognition is without question a benefit that we know when someone who's in the system flows through those areas. That's a great benefit. Chief, question on that, will the tag readers be active 24 hours a day or only during school periods?
24 hours a day.
So you're still recording speeds 24 hours a day?
No, so the radar will only work from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So only the tag reader is being tripped, not the radar measurement itself?
Right, we can't, by the law, we can only use those things from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. for radar.
And are those areas in our current, do they have to be in the state's designation of our 6 streets or number of roads that are permitted for radar?
And they have to be designated as a school zone. Which,
so we're already on the state list for those roads.
well, I've noticed on our permit that they left Vanward off. So I'm gonna have to go back to Michael Long there at Cartersville and get it marked as a school zone. For some reason, it got left off on the last permit, so, which is a clerical error. But yes, they are designated as a school zone, and Antioch and Old 278, 113, Atlanta Highway is.
So it's not something we've got to ask for?
No, it's already, they're both already radar certified.
For the fines or the settlements that are collected, they're not fines, they're settlements. When those are collected, what goes where?
The county would receive 65% of every citation. Of course, the company gets 35%. That's how they make money. That's why it's free. And then the money would come to the Board of Commissioners into the general fund that would have to be designated somehow for law enforcement purposes.
And the other tag-ons that the state puts on typically traffic and criminal violations, they're exempt on these?
All we're looking at is speeding.
Okay, but
It's not looking like
the state tags certain penalties or certain additions to both traffic and criminal citations. whether it's a court fee, a recording
I
fee,
understand
all
that.
of that activity. They tag it for, 911 purposes, I mean, they've got almost, I think there's 20 something different.
I don't think those apply because it's a civil, the only fine that can be added, I've read the code section 10 times and I still think I missed something. But anyway, because it's huge, as long as it's room, but the only extra fee I seen was a maximum of $25 administrative fee. And that was it. And so to my knowledge.
That is not per charge, that is overall.
No, sir. No, sir. I know what you're saying. Some of it goes to the jail fee,
Right.
retirement, judge's retirement,
Judge's retirement,
things.
everything.
No, this money would not go for that. It's not on the same, it's
So
not a
that's not gonna
fine.
come out of our 65%.
No, sir, it does not. And to answer your other question, I did read in the law where if you say you weren't driving, all you have to do is provide a sworn affidavit to the court that you weren't driving, and that's it. You don't have to tell us who was driving your car, that's optional. So we can't.
There's a question on that form.
But,
And there's a requirement to put your contact information over there so they can call you.
Yeah, but,
Again,
but
not mine, but I'm familiar with it.
but Red Speed is leaving that to us. All Red Speed's gonna do is collect the data, pick out the citations that they think are good, and then they forward them to us. My traffic officer, bless him, if he ever gets back from his train wreck, he underwent surgery again, but Andy or someone in my command staff will look at every one of those tickets and say, okay, this tag came back to this car and it matches this description. It was on this date, at this time, school was in session on that day. So then we have to verify, yes, this is a good ticket, or no, this is not a good ticket, and send it back.
So the violation is actually against the vehicle and the owner of that vehicle, not the driver.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's my beef.
I understand.
That's my beef.
Because the
And
law-
I
the law-
apologize, because I understand.
The House bill actually says that it's presumed preponderance of the, or prima facie, I think is the word they use, that the owner was driving the car, which may not necessarily be true.
That's what it's.
But a sworn affidavit from the owner that he or she was not driving is sufficient for it to be dismissed. Now, were there to be some other way to prove that that person was in the car, then they would face, a felony for falsifying.
Well, it also
official
takes a
identity.
picture of the driver.
Right. But anyway, but to answer your question, yes, it assumes that the owner is driving the car.
So what other jurisdictions within a 50-mile radius have enacted this?
Emerson,
And what are their results in reduction of speed?
that I don't know.
Who was it again?
Emerson PD is the closest one to us that is using Red Speed. I know that Fulton, Gwinnett, DeKalb are all in the process, just in speaking with them at the Winter Chief Conference, they're all in the process of doing this also, so. But Red Speed is just coming into Georgia. They've been predominantly Alabama, Texas, up north, and so they're just coming into Georgia. And so they're.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Brad. I know the city of Rome, that's been heavily publicized. They've recently adopted that as well.
Okay.
Didn't know that. Thank you.
Chief Dodd, can I ask you a question on this? Now, you said this was a House bill. Has it passed the Senate?
Yes.
It has
The
passed the
governor
Senate, so
signed it
the
in
governor
law.
signed it. Okay, is there any signage out there at the schools when they come through to let them know that, this is a red speed zone?
The Red Speed is the company, but there are signs that are required by law, and Red Speed will put up those signs that says photo enforced.
Okay.
There'll be warning signs well in advance that you're about to enter into a school zone and that it's photo enforced. We also have to give warnings for 30 days. If and when we enact it, for the first 30 days, we have to issue warnings. We can't find anybody. So.
Thank you.
Anybody else,
Yes, sir. Did we get an update on the fire station project as far as the speed limit out there is concerned, since we're on the subject?
Yes, we got it ready to go.
Okay.
So just, No, wait, I'm just blunt, Commissioner, I can't know, we gotta find the money. It's $13,500 for that study, and we gotta find the money.
Really?
So, yes, sir. It'll come into my budget as a professional services, and I'm only budgeted 5,000, and that one study is 13,500, and so the money has to be found to put into my budget to do that.
I understand.
That's just, and that's for 6 roads, not one.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's for 6 roads, that's to do all 6, and we can do 6 a year, but we have to put Prior Station back on there to be redone, hoping that the speed limit will be lower.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be nice if we're done that way.
Yes, sir, so, but yes, sir, it's there, and I'm assuming that's gonna be discussed tonight as far as the dollar value of trying to pay for that.
Yeah.
It's going up, it was 8,500 the last time we did one, but that was 7 years ago, so. Cost of business is going up for engineers.
I think Scotty's done.
Mr. Tiller?
And I apologize for, I haven't read the House Bill 978 yet, but I will, but what is the school zone distance? How far away?
I'm thinking it's 500 feet. You can't, it's gotta be 500 feet, in other words, 250 from the center both ways.
It's a very small area.
Yeah, it's not very large. And we have signs erected like 500 feet back, it says, entering the school zone ahead, and then 500 feet back from there, it says speed limit reduced ahead, so we're warning people within 1,000 feet before they get there. And these other signs will be placed in too, that is photo enforced, so.
Cause I know Van Wert and the, Young Grove, it's crazy.
Yeah, I was surprised, and I sent you a copy of this. This is they actually did a speed study. They put the radar things on the ground and did a speed study. And for an 8-hour period.
That's Van Wert, right?
This is both of them. This is Van Wert and,
Okay, I missed the.
yeah, so for an 8-hour period, there were 991 people who came through those school zones over 10 miles an hour. In 8 hours in one day. And that's why the state said you had to do the study and deem it a dangerous area. The minimum was 100 people speeding over 10 miles an hour in an 8-hour period, and we got 991. The majority of which were in Van Wert.
What was the date of this study?
This study was done on March the 3rd.
March 3rd of this year?
Yes, sir. And I sent you a copy of it.
Yeah, I saw the Van Wert, but.
If you want the hard copy, I mean, I've
No,
got
I'm
two of
good,
these.
I just need to look, maybe I didn't.
They also broke it down by when the speeding was, by what time of day, when the most offenses occurred, and then by the speeds of each vehicle during the times. And obviously, the most violators were between 7 and 8 and 3 and 4, when the speed limit was reduced to 25 from 35. So you can only do the school zone speed, which is 25, from 7 to 8, and from, I think it's 3:30 to 4:30. So the rest of the day, the speed goes back to normal speed. But
So the cameras you're talking about, they would be cut off in between as far as it would have to, the speeding radar would have to be it'd have to come on at that morning and go off, and then come on in the afternoon and go off.
you know, and I'll be honest with you, Commissioner, I'm thinking that's true, but it may just be that the company looks at the violation time and doesn't send the ones that are outside of that time frame. And then when it comes to us, we would verify too, okay, yeah, this was during school hours. It was at 9:30 on a school day. So it would be it would be verified by Red Speed and then have to be verified by us before it would be sent to us.
I'm real familiar with the one in Emerson.
Explain that.
You know, but it does kind of take all the, I'm gonna joke to you when I say that, but it does kind of takes away the communication and the
Well, the
excitement
speed,
part about someone pulling
the
over.
ticket has to have a picture of the car. In other words, it'll have a
It does.
picture of you, your tag, of you coming through there at the time. And then if you go to court and fight it, then they
Yeah.
actually have to play the video.
It's amazing how good those pictures are. But it's not in the school zone, it's actually just on a regular city, instead of an intersection.
Really?
Mhm. That's Bartow County Schools, so. at least the one I was introduced to was on the main road, but I'm not, I mean, just talking, just myself as, I'm all for the working those zones there, and I'm all about the tag readers, but I'm having a hard time putting my arms around the radar and someone else in control of it, you know. Don't get me wrong, I know it's dangerous.
No, I
I
understand.
just like-
Technology is a scary thing.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, it's just, I think, to me, a visual police car sitting there, which you can't be there every day, I know that. And I do know about the problems, especially the side road of Young's Grove. I mean, if you wanna see a racetrack, go out there about 7 to 15.
And, you know, and that's something I hadn't thought of, but we can designate,
It's bad.
we slipped on that one, we should have made Wooten Road a, school zone also. And so, which, when we redo this permit with the 6 new roads, if we do, then I can get that added.
Oh, yeah. It's, so I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm just saying I just haven't put my arms around it yet, but.
Well, that's it, the same rules apply, it has to calibrate. The radar has to be calibrated, the company comes down and does that, and they'll provide the certification, just like in the car. At the beginning and ending of every shift, the officer has to calibrate that radar, that it's properly working. And so the same is true with those, it's just that Red Speed will take care of that, so we don't have to do it.
And they won't do it without the radar because they don't get the revenue.
That's true. Yeah, they don't get any revenue off. See, whatever else we get, like if it tells us there's an expired registration that comes through and one of the guys pulls that over, they don't get any of that money. And that's not civil, that's criminal.
I see the benefit of that side of it, I really do.
Right. But I mean, the whole focus here, and I had him mentioned, you know, is the safety. I mean, we get a lot of complaints out there and people passing our school buses and we try to be there as much as possible.
School bus is pretty tough.
Yeah, but just, well, and this law also includes now the school buses can put cameras back on their bus to send us information as far as passing, because they outlawed that years ago. But part of this bill allows for the school bus to have a camera too, and for us to be able to sight off of that camera. Not for speeding, obviously, but for passing the bus when it stops.
What's your deadline on this, that you need to tell them something?
There's not a deadline, they're waiting on us.
Okay.
They have other projects in place, and he said once we say yes, that you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks to install, so it'd probably be well into the school year if we have one before it's even done.
Has the school administration, have you talked to them about it yet, see what they think?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, anybody else, any other questions?
Just one quick question, can it be, does it matter if it's placed on a state highway or what's designated as a state highway?
No, sir. It could, anywhere there's a school zone. So Cedartown could put one on the bypass here, and it would do the same thing. I know that Chief Turner at Rockmart has gotten this information from me, and he's talking with them about doing, the middle school and the high school out there on 113, so Randy's in the process of trying to do the same thing.
Did he instigate it in Emerson, or did that come after?
No, it came after him. Yeah. So,
Any other questions?
Yes, sir, if you don't mind. Get back on it. Is there any leeway in the enforcement level? In other words, instead of 10 miles an hour, can we establish 15? Is that acceptable to the company, or did they dictate 10 miles an hour?
You know, it's funny, because I asked that question because I noticed in Georgia, we have to give 10 miles an hour.
In excess of 10
In
miles.
excess of 10, but he had the cameras activated at 10, but those laws don't apply in the school zone. Unless it's like, if we're running radar in a car, we can write you as 1 over in the school zone. Outside of school zone, it has to be 11. But the cameras are bound, they start at 10, but he told me on the phone a while ago that he has departments that up it to 11. Now, whether or not they would go higher than that, I don't know.
Because it affects their revenue.
Right.
And on the fines themselves, you stated what the maximums are. There minimums in the state law?
75 and 125, period.
That's just maximum, or is that the fine?
75 is the fine.
That's dictated
fine.
by state
By
the law.
Right. $75 is the minimum you can charge, and 125 is the max you can charge, plus the $25 administrative fee, which
Per ticket.
would be for you, not them, but for you.
Right.
Well, of course, it would be,
Now, the $25
It's
fee
for them.
goes to them, plus $35, 35% of the fine, if I'm not mistaken.
I might have misread that, I'm not gonna say that's not true, but I thought your admin fee could be the court fee for.
That's what I'm saying, that's their fee.
You're saying red speed and not.
Yes. Yes, that's their fee, that's what they're charging you to that's what they're charging the violator to process the civil suit.
I got you. Yeah, I didn't
So
read it, in-
$75
I didn't
fine.
read it in those terms, but
Yeah, I think
you
$75
may well be right. That's the question.
$100 fine.
I'll call.
$100, you're getting 65% of 75. And you know, again, to me, it's not a revenue thing, it's a safety issue.
Yes, and I see it the same way, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, but.
And the number of violators do concern me. I know that area's been a problem for a long time, I picked my granddaughter up a lot of times, so I'm well familiar with it, but,
I'd be curious to know what the school system thought about it.
Yeah, that's what, you know.
That's my question.
Yeah,
I can do that, that's not a problem, I can, I guess get with Lori and see if I can sit down with her.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you about
If that's,
the.
if that's what the commissioners, I mean, I still have a problem with somebody else controlling, you know.
You have a problem?
I like talking to police
And
officers.
you realize that we can, you realize we can test it, right? I mean, I can get in my police car and go through there 10 miles an hour over, and the ticket will come. I'm just saying we can test it to make sure that it's accurate,
Right.
you know, if we chose to do that.
And I'm just kidding, by the way. I'm cutting up. Not about the one in Emerson, but the rest of them.
You know, I don't have a problem with it like these guys do. I guess it's the mother instinct in me. If it can save children and catch some criminals, I think it's great. Because, I mean, you should know that you're not gonna be speeding in a school zone, Scotty.
I wasn't in the school zone.
So as far as the sheriff's office sex offender registry, that's a wonderful tool if they get a notification that a sex offender is arrested.
It does have a lot of benefits.
It'll be tied to everyone's laptop.
All right, anybody else? We'll have plenty of time to discuss this further.
One final question I want the chief to do. What's the implementation cost on our side to tie in with communications with our system and laptops?
There's no cost to us.
Okay.
There's no cost. Because I don't know how they're gonna do internet. That's above my head, but.
I know, that's where the costs are.
Yeah, but still, I mean, he
They'll come in, you gotta have this server, you gotta do this.
He guaranteed me no cost. It'll be just like an LPR system that, say I bought one from our software vendor, Interop, SSI, they have it. And our software is already equipped with that ability, it just has to be activated. So in other words, it's built in, it's just gotta be turned on. And Kerry says that's just a flip of a switch.
And there's usually an annual invoice for support of that software. When you add on those features. If there's a switch to it, there's a cost to it.
I know what you're saying, but Kerry has told me that our fee covers everything they offer.
Okay.
So whatever we add, it's not gonna cost any more money.
Right.
I have that in the email, so I can hold it to.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Uh,
Good job.